Hello WinCraps fans. Today I'd like to show you how to write an AutoBet script for a simple strategy called the Iron Cross. We'll play around with a few variations and use some checkstacks to create delays, record wins and losses, and run some progressions and regressions. The Iron Cross is a strategy sometimes called the anything but 7 strategy. It includes bets on place 5, place 6, place 8, and the field. These bets together cover all possible numbers except the 7. The idea is to win money on every non-7 roll. So, since the field loses if place 5, 6, or 8 wins, in order to get a net win, we have to make sure that the field losses don't exceed the place bet wins. For example, let's say we bet $5 place 5, $6 each on place 6 and 8, and $5 field. If we were to roll a 5, we would win $7, and we would lose 5 on the field for a net win of 2. Same thing with a 6. A 6 pays 7, and we lose 5 on the field for a net win of 2, and the same thing for an 8. If we roll a 2 or a 12, since the table here is configured for double payoffs, we would win $10. Place bets are unaffected. If we roll a 3, 4, 9, 10, or 11, we win $5. Again, the place bets are unaffected. So no matter what we roll, we're going to win anything from $2 to $5 to $10, and of course if we roll a 7, we're going to lose $22. So let's go to the AutoBet screen and start doing some writing. We'll just start with our basic bets here. Bet $5 on place 5. And then just to make this a little bit quicker, I'm just going to copy that, Control C and Control V 3 times, and then we'll just modify this to bet $6 on place 6 and $6 on place 8 and $5 on the field. Activate that. Go to the main screen here, start a new game, just to make sure the bets are going to be made like we want. And there they are, place 5, 6, and 8 in the field. However, looking at this now, I can already tell that the field is active, as normally it is, unless you've told the dealer that you want to be off. And the place bets are normally off, unless you've told your dealer you want them to be on. Well, we want them all to work together, so we can't have some on and some off. So we either have to remove a field or turn it off, or we have to turn the place bets on. So why don't we do that? Let's go back to the script. And let's just at the very end here, we'll just say call on all place bets. Now if we wanted, we could say call on all inside place bets, or we could say call on place 5, place 6, place 8. There's a number of different. You could even say call on all bets, and all bets that are capable of being called on would be called on, in which case we're only doing these bets, so it would suffice. But whenever you use lists that are longer than necessary, it really slows the game down a little bit. Like if you're running a hyperdrive and it has to go through and look at all bets on the table to do some command, well, that kind of slows it down. So you can expedite it by kind of just referring to the actual bets that you need. Anyway, let's go back to the main table and we'll check that out. Start a new game. Now we've got our bets and everything is called on, so that looks good. Now, we really don't have any other criterion here. It's just every single roll. Make these bets, call them on. So win or lose, we're always going to have these bets sitting there. Now maybe we don't want that. Maybe we want to create some kind of a delay. So how would we do that? Well, it kind of depends on what the delay is. Do you want to delay and wait for certain bets to win or lose? Do you want to wait for a certain shooter until he has the dice? Do you want to wait until a certain number of rolls have gone by? The game already tracks rolls for hands and sessions. How about if we try something like that? So let's come in here to the script and let's say if number of rolls current hand is greater than 2, then we're going to make these bets. Check the script. Looks good. All right, let's check that out. Start a new game. Okay, bets are not being made, so the delay is in effect. Now we said number of rolls for the hand, so that would include naturals, everything. So let's roll a 2. That's 1 roll. We'll roll a 3. That's the second roll. How about we roll a 9? This will be the third roll. And there's our bets. So that looks just fine. Now what if we were to make the 9? Let's say the shooter makes the 9. What's going to happen? Our bets stay on. Now if that's what you want, great. Just press on. You can keep going. But notice the delay really is only going to work one time per hand. So if a shooter is really hot and rolling lots of numbers, making points, you're only going to have one time delay. And if that's what you want, fine. But what if you wanted to make this delay repeat for every point cycle? What would you do then? Well, how about we go back to the AutoBet script, and we're going to set up our own counter. Instead of using the roll counter for in the game, let's just set up our own counter. Let's say if there's a point, then we're going to add 1 to checkstack. Let's use checkstack 3, and we're going to give it a name. We're going to call it point rolls. Now when I say give it a name, this is not really the checkstack's name, but it's just a little tag that you put on to remind yourself of what it is. Sometimes you get in a script and you've got lots of different checkstacks, and if you don't have little names on them and tell you what they are, it gets kind of confusing. So anyway, this helps out. Okay, so if there's a point, we're going to increment, and when are we going to reset? Well, how about anytime there's a 7? No, how about just anytime there's none on the point? Let's just say that. Else, we're going to say, let me copy this, checkstack 3 point rolls equals 0. All right, check the script. Looks good. Let's now think about this. Is that really what we want? If there's a point, it's going to count rolls, and if there's not a point, it's going to reset. Okay, that makes sense. Now let's take our counter and replace that previous counter, and now we're going to say if our counter is greater than 2, then we're going to make these bets. Now we want this to happen on the point while there's a point out there, and not on come out rolls. So there's really no need for this call on all place bets anymore. So we can remove that. Let's go back to the script, start a new game, new session. Okay, the delay is in effect. We can see down here the counter is 0. Let's try run a few naturals and see if anything happens to the count. Well, nothing's happening in the count. It's still 0. There's still no bets. So the counting should start if I roll a point number. So here's a 4. There's the first count. That's 1. Now that the count has started, here's a 12. That's count 2. Here's a 5. That's count 3. And there come our bets. Okay, everything looks good. Now let's say the shooter rolls and makes that point of 4. Okay, our bets are still there. That's not what we wanted. So let's go back in the script and say, okay, here's what happened. When we got greater than a value of 2, we made our bets, but when we made a point, we didn't pull them off. We either have to pull them off or call them off. So how about we just remove them? So we'll say else remove place 5, place 6, place 8, and the field. Check the script. Now we could say remove all bets. That's fine. As I was mentioning, whenever you use all and it's something like bets, the game is going to have to go through and look at each and every bet on the table. And if you're trying to run a fast hyperdrive, that kind of slows it down a little bit. So no need to do that. All right, let's go back now and try our new change. All right, roll a 4 again. So that's 1. Counter is now at 1. There's 2. There's 3. And now our bets are made. Now the shooter rolls a bunch of winners, and then he finally makes his point of 4. Bang, there we go. Bets got called off. Now let's see if they come back on. Rolls a point of 6. Counter is at 1. So 12, counter goes to 2, rolls a 4, counter goes to 3, and our bets got made. Perfect. So now we've got this cycling. So it waits for 2 rolls into a point cycle before it makes the bets, and then when the point is made, the bets come down. Of course, if you roll a 7, everything should start over as well. Our counter went back to 0 and our bets came off. Perfect, just what we wanted. All right, let's go in and remove that delay. I think you get the idea there. And let's try some other things. So here's still our basic bets. You know, sometimes you like to increase or decrease the size of your bets. How do you want to do that? How can you do that? Well, again, it depends kind of on why you want them increased, how, when. You can increase or decrease them according to rolls, wins, losses, according to the value of any statistic in the game, or maybe a statistic that you create on some check stacks. So since the bets in this strategy work together, how about we try increasing bets according to the total number of wins for all bets combined. So what I'm going to do is we'll set up another check stack. And let's say if place 5 wins, or place 6 wins, or place 8 wins, or the field wins, then we're going to increment a check stack. So let's say add 1, and this time let's use check stack 1, and we'll call it wins. And when do we want to reset these wins? How about anytime 7 is rolled? How about we say else if dice total equals 7, then we're going to say check stack 1 wins equals 0. All right, let's check the script there. Think about this again. Any of our bets win, we increment. If dice total is 7, starts over. Okay, so now let's take our check stack wins and use that to make our bets. So how about if we say if the check stack ones is equal to 0, in other words, nothing's won yet, then let's just make our basic bets. Okay. Otherwise, if our check stack 1 wins is equal to 1, then we'll make some other bets. We'll fill that in here in just a moment. Actually, I got a typo there. And let me just copy this and make it quicker. So let's enter another one here, and another one there, and that's enough. So how about here we'll say value of 0, value of 1, value of 2, and here we'll just say greater than 2. Now, what bets do we want to make? If the first one is the value of 0, we're going to make our basic bets. Now let's copy some of those in here and modify them. And I'll just do this so it lines up a little prettier. Let's say when we get to a value of 1, we want to increase these to 10, 12, 12, and 10. When we have 2 wins, we want to go up to 15, 18, 18, and 15. And when we get greater than 2, we want to go to 20, 24, 24, and 20. All right, let's check the script once again. Looks good. Okay, now we took out our delay, so these bets are going to be made all the time. So they're going to be there on the come out roll as well. So if we want them to work together, once again, we're going to have to call them place bets on, or make some other accommodation. So why don't we just, we could go in on every block here and say call place bets on, call place bets on, call place bets on. Rather than do that, let's just add one line at the end. It's kind of a catch-all. Call on all place bets. Check that, looks good. Let's go back to the main table. Start a new game. Okay, so again, no more delay. So the bets are already on. They're all called on. Let's start, and we're going to have a win on the 3. Our win counter went to 1. And our bets have gone to 10, 12, 12, and 10. That's what we had in the script. Now, the next time they win, we expect them to go up. Here we see 15, 18, 18, and 15. Check stack counter was 2 wins. On the third win, let's roll, say, a 10. Now we see it, counter's gone up to 3, so we see 20, 24, 24, and 20. Now we can continue to win, and it shouldn't go up anymore. Yeah, it's just stable because we didn't include anything more. We could say, you know, if wins equal 5, then do something else. We could even change the amounts of these bets. They don't have to stay in the same proportions. Maybe we want to have the 6s and 8s go up faster, or maybe on certain, we get to a certain point we want to regress and go back down. So you can just add as many of these blocks in as you want. Now, depending upon what you're trying to do, you could end up with a lot of blocks. So there's another couple things you can do that might make that a little bit easier. How about if we say, well, we're going to take, this is our basic bet, and we want it to be always made in these proportions. So how about we just say that this is 1 unit. $5 is 1 unit for place 5. $6 is 1 unit for place 6, etc., etc. And we're going to then come up with another check stack. Let's call it check stack 2. We'll call it units. And we're going to multiply our basic bet times the number of units that we want to make our bet. Okay, let's copy that and include that on all the other 3 bets here. So now we're saying that this is our basic bet. If the unit is set to 1, then we would say 5 times 1 is going to be on place 5. 6 times 1 is on place 6, etc., etc. If we increment this now to check stack 2 becomes 2, that would mean we would be betting $10 on place 5, $12 on place 6, etc., etc. So how about we take our check stack 1 wins, and now we're going to use that to set our units. So let's say if check stack 1 wins is equal to 0, then we're going to say check stack 2 units is equal to 1. That's right. That's our starting unit. That's what we want to start off with. Else, if check stack 1 wins, let's see, do we want to go up right away, or maybe we want to take a hit before we go up? So let's say if we're going to skip when it gets to 1, we're going to wait until it gets to 2. So when check stack 1 wins is equal to 2, then we're going to say check stack 2 units is going to go to 2. All right, let's make this a little quicker by copying that. Let's say that when skip another one then. Let's say when it goes to 4 wins, we want to go to 3 units. And maybe when it goes to 7 wins, or just for ease of remembering, let's just go to 6. If it goes to 6 wins, let's regress all the way back down to 1. And maybe we can just leave it right there. I think you get the idea from that. So let me check the script. That looks good. Okay, so we have the counter counting the wins, and then we're using the wins to set how many units we want to bet. And now let's come down here, and we're going to say we don't need this part anymore. We're not using that to determine our bets. All of these blocks can be cut out. And now we're using the check stack 2 units set here, so let's just make sure check stack 2 units. Okay, just got to make sure everything starts correctly. Let's give it a try and see if it works as we want it to. Start a new game. Okay, here's our bets. Everything's working. Everything's called on. Here's 1 win. We're still at 1 unit. We're still looking at 5, 6, 6, and 5. Here's a second win. Here's our second win, and now it's gone up to 2 units. So we should be 10, 12, 12, and 10. Let's take another win. There's a third win, and we're still sitting at 10, 12, 12, and 10. We're still at 2 units. Here's fourth win, it's gone up to 3 units. We look 15, 18, 18, and 15. Here's our fifth win. We're still at 3 units. Sixth win. Here's our sixth win, and it's regressed down to 1 unit. And we see 5, 6, 6, and 5. Now, if we wanted to, we could go in and just add all kinds of more steps in here. We could say at the 7th win, we want it to start back up again, or maybe at the, whatever win, it's going to double. You can make these go up or down as you please. I think you get the idea there. All right. Now, what if we don't want them all to go up or down together? We don't want to use this checkstack 2 units to reference every single bet. Well, there's all kinds of different things we could do. We could set up counters for each individual bet, and we can increase them or decrease them as we want. How about we try a variation here? Let's say that we want to use the place 5 and the field to feed the place 6 and place 8. So we're going to always make a $5 place 5 bet. We're going to always make a $5 place field bet. And on the place 6 and 8, we want to track those independently. So let's change this to check stack 6 units and check stack 8 units. Of course, you can use what check stacks you want. I try to use numbers that match the numbers I'm using, like place 6, check stack 6, whenever I can. It just kind of makes it easier to remember. So now we've got 2 check stacks that we're using. We're going to have to increment those. So let's come up here. Let's come up with a completely different scheme. I want to erase this, and maybe we can modify this part here. So let's say if place 5 wins or the field wins, if place 5 wins or field wins, then we're going to feed the place 6 and 8, right? Okay, so let's get rid of that one there. And while I'm thinking about it, we'll get rid of that one too. So we're going to feed the place 6 or 8. Now, do we want to feed them both at the same time? Well, if the place 5 or field wins, we're really winning either $5 or $7. So let's say we just want to use that basic money to make a bet. We'll kind of round it off, but so we'll do it one at a time. So let's put a bet on, increase the bet on whichever one is the lowest. Okay. So if place 6 is less than or equal to place 8, then we're going to say check stack 2, or not 2, 6 units. What do we want to do? We want to increment it, don't we? So let's say add 1 to check stack 6 units. Okay. Otherwise, we're going to add 1 to check stack 8 units. All right, I'm going to have to clean this up here a little bit. Okay, so we're saying place 5 or field wins. We're going to feed either place 6 or 8. We're determining that by whichever one has the least amount on it. If place 6 is less, we're going to add it to place 6. If place 8 is less, we're going to add 1 unit to place 8. Okay, now how about we say if place 5 or field wins, if they don't win, or if place 6 or 8 wins, then let's address that one now. Else, if place 6 wins or place 8 wins, then what do we want to do? We want to set those back to 1. How about we want to start over? We're going to reap the rewards and start over. So we're going to say check stack 1 units equal 6 units equal 1, and check stack 8 units equals 1. Okay. Now, if we 7 out, we also want to reset those to 1, and we also need to get them initialized. So when we first start the game, it's going to come in and say check stack 6 and 8 are going to be equal to 1. So how about we say if dice total equals 7 or number of rolls equals 0. In either case, it's going to set our initial value of the check stacks to 1. All right, let's check it one more time, see if it makes sense. 5 or field wins feeds our place 6. 6 or 8 wins, we reap the rewards, pull it down, go down to 1 unit. If dice total is 7 or we're just starting, units are going to be equal to 1. All right, I think it sounds good. Let's check it out. Okay, there's our bets. There's 1 win, and that was 2. Let's say that was the field. There's the amount the field should have fed the place 6. It went up to 12. Okay, how about we roll 11? That's another field win. This time it pressed up to place 8 to 12. Let's roll a 5. And it looks like it pressed this place 6 up to 18. Okay, how about if we roll another field? It should this time press up to place 8. And in fact it did. They're both sitting at 18. Now how about we roll it place 8 and see what happens. Looks like both the 6 and 8 went back down to 1 unit each, $6. And everything else is as was before. Okay, I think you get the idea there. So you can play around with that as well. Maybe you don't want to pull them down all the way. Maybe you want to actually increase them. So you could play around with those units. So you can have these going up and down independently without having all the verbiage that we had before. There's multiple blocks of bets. All right, see what other things you could add on here. Well, maybe you want to play multiple sessions. That's pretty easy. You got to set up your criteria of when you want to start and restart. So let's say if bankroll is less than minimum bet, that would be the loss limit, and or bankroll is greater than or equal to beginning bankroll, let's say plus 200. No, let's tell you what, let's just use a 20% win goal. So we'll say times 1.2, then start new session. Okay, check the script, looks good. Now think about when you say start new session. If you just say start new session, it's going to start a new one. It's going to clear out the check stacks. And we have some in use, so we need to determine if we need to save those. Check stacks 6 and 8 are going to be reset when the rolls are 0, so that's not a problem. I think those are the only 2 we're using right now, so we do not need to preserve check stacks. That will be taken care of just fine. Sometimes you need to save the value of a check stack. You would have to enter in parentheses here, preserve check stacks. Okay? In this case, we don't need to do that. The other things we could think about, maybe since now we're running multiple sessions, we could say if beginning new session, then maybe we want to set the bankroll here. Beginning bankroll equals 1,000. That way it's going to reset to the same bankroll on every new session. And it'll be easy to set here. Of course, you can go set it on the configuration screen as well, but it's nice and easy to set right here. I think that covers most of what I wanted to tell you about right now. You can see there's all kinds of ways to do these things, and you can add more check stacks and more criteria for incrementing them and resetting them. Maybe you should play around with that a bit. I'll post a script on my website. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Bye.